So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZW Games 5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube? Dow here from Z4 Games. And you guys voted again over the weekend and you decided for me to use Dark Magician, which I was actually really happy about because I haven't played my Dark Magicians properly for a while. And I would love to give you a positive report. Unfortunately, it did not go very well this weekend with Dark Magicians, but I thought it was still very valuable for me to kind of show you the profile. But while going through the profile, explain what I would take out and explain why I would take those particular things out. I learned a lot. We did five rounds at my locals. I went, round 1 was against Mech Knight Invoked and won that one. Round 2 was against Lunar Lights, which I lost that one. Round 3 was against Salamangreats, which I drew. Round 4 was against Rockets, which I lost. And round 5 was against Zombies, which I lost. God damn, Jack of Ballon is insane. Anyway, I won't spend too long on the profile in like what it's got in it, but I will explain what I would take out and why I would take it out. So, we've got Triple Dark Magician. Standard, no more need to be said. If you want to keep it as a Dark Magician deck, you need to play 3 of this guy. Same with Triple Rod. It is the only normal summon of the deck that you want to be normal summoning. And it searches you out all the pieces you need. So the circle, the navigation, and so on. Triple Soul, don't need it. It's good in the deck because it gives you a turn 1 Dark Magician. But if you don't have that, what you can kind of play around with is like Dark Magic Veil, Foolish Burial of good, stuff like that. It did come in handy because it allowed me to get the Dark Magician into grave and onto the board. I never used its draw effect, or I might have even used it once. The only time, or the only card in the main deck that's worth sending off of this to get a plus is the combination, because if it goes, you get to pop a card on the field. But it never came up. 9 out of 10 I was summoning out Dark Magician. And then we've got the one-offs. We've got the 1 Apprentice, the 1 Magician of Dark Illusion, and the 1 Dark Magician Girl. Now, there was only one game where Dark Magician Girl came in handy, and that was in the Mech Knight, the Salamangreat one, because I was able to kind of loop this with Dark Magician and combination and stun my opponent out. Magician of Dark Illusion, saw it once, and even then it wasn't worth playing, so this is definitely coming out just... Apprentice again was very good to kind of get some combos going, but ultimately it never really did enough for the deck. And what I'm considering is I was considering the ritual version of this deck, so straight away these 3 would probably come out. I might keep this as a 1 just for a hand trap kind of play, but straight away as soon as you take out the Dark Magician Girl, you then take out another big engine within the deck, which I'll show you later on, which again it only worked like once or twice throughout the entire weekend, and other than that, you're playing 4 bricks, which is a real shame. The one spicy card, which I absolutely loved, was double Tenyi Spirit Vishuda. Now, this actually combos off really nicely. If you want to put in Sacred Sword of 7 and Allure of Darkness, this combos off really nicely. But the best thing about this is it's a free special summon of a level 7. So then if you do Souls, you've got an instant rank 7 play straight away. If you Rod in this, you go into Wee Witch, and then you've got a quick play spell, or the quick play spell to get you into the Dark Magicians, and then that gives you a nice little boost, and you get draws, and this is then in Graveyard, so as soon as you control a Dark Magician, you just banish it, and bounce 1 card. It's also a very good card in hand, because as long as you control no effect monsters, you can banish it from your hand, and basically compulse one of your opponent's cards, which I think is really cool. Works quite nicely against stuff like Vanity's Fiend and Vanity's Fiend. Because the cards can't be special summoned, but if you've got this in hand, you just go banish. And as it's a free 2500 defender, it's quite cool. So I really like Feudor. Tempted to put it up to 3, but if I put it up to 3, I would definitely go with a lore target. I'd definitely put a lore in the deck. Double Ash Blossom, I put this in last minute. It needed a hand trap, and Ash was the most kind of effective to me. For the spells, Triple Circle, again, wouldn't change this. I'd keep this exactly as it is, Triple Circle. Again, a last minute change that I put in was Triple Pot of Extravagance. Now, I was playing around with Allure, I was playing around with Sacred Sword of 7, I was playing around with Servant. Nothing was giving me the consistent boost that I needed. Like, there were so many times I was getting like brick hands or really slow hands. That ultimately what I decided to do is that it goes second, and I'll explain that further on down in the profile. But Extravagance was very, very good. If you put the Allures in here, then you would up your dark targets. The one thing I really dislike about Allure was there was a couple of times in testing that I was playing it and I was like, I've got no darks in hand, I can't use it. Or when I did, the one card I was having to banish off of the Allure was a card I needed in my hand. So that's again where the ritual play will come into it a little bit more to get a bit more consistency. But Extravagance actually put in a decent bit of work today, and there was only one time when I banished, like, you'll see with the extra deck, I didn't make it ready for Extravagance. This was the last minute add-in, but it wasn't really ready. Triple Super Poly wasn't as effective as I would like it to have been, so this I would arguably put down to 2 or cut completely into the side deck. Like I said, I was planning to go second with this deck, so this can definitely come in for like Imperms or Dark Royal No Mores or something a little bit more consistent. Double Call by the Grave because sacrifices had to be made, and again I was going second, so I probably didn't need this. But the fact that your opponent can ash your navigation, your rod, your circle, anything like that, it's very, very important. Double Servant, so I cut Servant down to 2 purely because I was playing Extravagance, so I wasn't relying on the draw build too much. It might have been a mistake because what you can do is you can play Extravagance, banish 6, chain this, and put a card on top of the deck. So you're going to guarantee to get a card that you desperately need or you really, really want in your hand. So it then meant you have to sit on the Servant. But 2 kind of worked for me today. It can be a little bit bricky because they are hard once per turns. But yeah, put its work in, and 2 kind of worked nicely for me today. Dark Burning Magic, only resolved it once, bricked it a couple of times, so this can definitely come out. Just I only played the one Secrets Dark Magic, worked nicely. Like, I searched it when I wanted it. So I didn't have it in my hand when it was a brick or anything like that, I just didn't have the monsters to fuse with it. So being able to just search it when I wanted it. So 1 actually worked really, really nicely for me, and I'll keep that ratio. Monster Reborn, never saw it. The only time I saw it was when my opponent stole it with Reader. Yay, good job. 1 Bond Between Teacher. If you're taking out Dark Magician Girl and you're taking out Burning Magic, you can take out this as well. Again, I resolved it once. So it wasn't really that relevant for me. The one Itemize, again, resolved it once. The best thing about this is as long as a card has Dark Magician in its name, you can use Itemize as the other one, so you can actually get into this, which is really cool. 1 is more than enough. If it was searchable, even better, but if you play more of it, until we get into Master Rule 5, 1 is all you need. And then for the traps, going second, evenly matched. This put in so much work today. I evenly matched the standard player like 3-4 times. I say 3-4 times, it was probably like 2 or 3 times. Very, very good card. If people want to be going first, great. The way I kind of saw it with Dark Magician is the hands aren't that consistent right now. They're really, really struggling in the consistency department. So if I'm good, I need the extra card. I'd rather have that 6th card to try and unbrick my hand. And then if I don't unbrick my hand, I want to be able to open an evenly match, because at the moment, if you can bait out a card, evenly matched is going to destroy your opponent so, so hard. It's a very, very good card, putting a lot of work. Double Eternal Soul, I very, very, very rarely like playing 3. 2 is quite understandable. 1 Magician's Navigation. Didn't need the others. The only time you'll need to put this at 2 is if you put Foolish Burial Goods in the grave. So put this into the grave and then you've got a nice negation. I misplayed so much against Rockets. I just literally could not think. I should have read the cards, and that's a learning curve for me on that one. Is there's amount of times where I could have banished this to turn off a card, and I even had the Dragon Knight Engraver and Eternal Soul, and he just sent a card and then sent stuff in its column, and this just went. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I guess I should probably recard these days. And then finally, combination. Like I said, I only looped this once against the standard player, so it put in a lot of work on that game. Other than that, it was pretty much a dead card, because the worst thing about it is you have to have Dark Magician, Dark Magician Girl. And the biggest weakness, because you only play 1 Dark Magician Girl, is you've got to get it to the graveyard, so you have to already set up your play. And then the second they call it by the grave, the Dark Magician Girl, this falls apart and it becomes a dead card, and you need to get rid of it. So this can definitely come out. I would put in like any form of like hate, back row hate, front row hate, hand trap, general, anything like that. I need the other tech cards that I was playing around with was the 10 Field Spell, which I'm very, very tempted to put back into the deck. Purely because as long as you control a face down monster or a Dark Magician, every time if your opponent summons, you draw 2. But for that to be useful for me, the reason I took that out right at the last minute was for that to be useful to me, I had to play more cards that are going to do a lot in my hand. So it was better for going game 2 if I was playing Nibiru, because it's like, okay, I'm getting more of a chance to get into a Phantasme or to a Nibiru. We'll do the side deck first. So the side deck was 1 Mystic Mine, and you'll find out the issue that I have right now 2 Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Guess what's missing? I forgot to put a bloody Terraforming in. So, never saw these cards. Yeah. This is purely go second, shut down any deck you're going against. And it gives you time to maintain your hand advantage or get hand advantage to build your board out and go from the OTK. There is a nice OTK play. I did do it with Dark Magicians, but it requires a lot. And then this was because I didn't want to play this, because if Invoke Shadows were around, like, they can break this so much. But then my locals ended up being zombies, rockets, stuff like that. So this is dead against zombies, good against rockets, good against Lunar Lights, but never saw it. Double Lightning Storm, waste of money, really not worth the money it's in. Droll, just in case I ended up playing against Spirals, which I didn't, so that was pointless. Nibiru, good card, really good card, never saw it, so it wasn't really used. Sanctum, the only card I saw of this entire package when I put it in was Scythe. What's the point? And then Double Twin Twisters, never saw it when I needed it. So my entire side deck never got used. Scythe and Sanctum are just there as an additional go first kind of play alongside your Secret Village. Nibiru, it always goes in 9 times out of 10. If I know my opponent can make more than 5 monsters, this goes in. And Droll was the one that always went in if I knew my opponent was searched. The rest of the cards were all pretty much deck specific and dependent on how they wanted to play. Moving on to the extra deck. A couple of things I might change in this one, but I'm not too sure yet. Big Eye, never summoned it, but rank 7 you kind of have to. Ebon Illusion, summoned it once. Really, really cool card. Really, really like the card. Shame it just doesn't do a little bit more. 1 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Again, never made it, but the burn factor can actually win you a lot in time. For the Link Monsters, we've got the 1 IP Masquerina, the 1 YUGIOH. Both put in a decent amount of work, but the only issue was the only time I extraved, and the boss monsters left on my extra deck were Link Spider. I say boss monsters, Link Spider, IP, and Induct, and I was like, yeah, cool, can't play either of those. Induct, just so you can play the quick play spell to go into the Dragon Knight. The 1 Link Spider, never used any of those. Never used Unicorn. Never used BLS. Didn't even use Dracus Tepelio, which was my super poly target, alongside Mud Dragon, which again was a nice super poly target. And then this was a super poly target, obviously a normal target, but in the Rocket matchup it turned into a super poly target, which is quite nice. And then 2 of the Dark Magicians, really, really good card, nice little draw and set effect. Never really got the bonus of the draw and then set, but still very, very good. And then finally Quintet, because I was like, super poly in a Shaddoll matchup, but never faced a Shaddoll matchup, so this one can go right now in this particular build. Doesn't need to be in there. You do run the risk with Extravagance, but like I said, the only card I was going into was the Dark Magician, so as long as I had that, I was able to resolve my plays. I really do need to look at the build. Going second was really, really good with the evenly matched, but it bricked too much, so it didn't really give me enough to play around with. So it's definitely something that I'm looking into, and definitely a different avenue that I'm going to take with this deck. The Vishuda is hands down. I would put a shooter in the deck. I think it's so good, so fun, and so powerful as well. It just has multiple effects. And I really want to mix it more with Tenyis and actually rely on Dark Magician a bit more. You can play all of the spells and traps to set it up, and you can play all of the backing cards. But that's one thing I would say is if you don't have souls, then I would definitely put in a Tenyi engine and kind of abuse the vanilla aspect of it. And then you can put in stuff like Ancient Rules, which lets you special summon a level 5 or higher vanilla monster, just so you can get your Dark Magician from hand onto board. And then what you do is you back it up with your Dark Magician spells and traps, and obviously Rod, and then you back it up even further with your Tenyi monsters in your graveyard or hand, which the best thing with a hand is once the trigger effects are met, you just banish it, and it can't be called by the grave, can't be stopped sometimes, so it's very, very useful, and they're free summons. So you get them on the board. Depending on what route you want to go, you can go into, like, very rarely, but Synchro Forge, you can go into just Link Climb a little bit higher, go into generic Link 2, your IP becomes more relevant, and then you can take out your Extravagance, put up the Servant a bit more, and then also focus on Brainstorm Dead. Focus on the field spell for your draw power. You can still go second with an evenly matched if you want to. That might be something I'll look at changing, is probably taking out those, like, the go second technique with this deck, and probably going back to what it does best. I even put in the True Name that was part of, like, my a block of cards. I was like, I might put these in my side deck. I really wanted to put it in, and I probably wish I'd had now, just for that a little extra extension or that bit to just gab it off. And then the best thing about the true name is, if you're backed up against the wall, just call it blind. Why not? Just go, alright, okay, I've gone through, I haven't gone through any circles, I've gone through all my Dark Magician, let's call Dark Magical Circle, and then if you blind call it, yeah! Nah, it's a joke. It would have been funny. It's like when Spirals blind call the top card of your deck, even though they've got like a third chance. Like, I don't know the exact mass of it, but then like the fact it can only be one of 3, whereas the true name can be like one of 18 different cards you play in the main deck. Anyway, that was it for the profile. I'm sorry I could not give you a more positive kind of review of the deck. I will be looking at it. I will be going at a different angle with this version as well. Try and change it up. Maybe my luck was against me this weekend, or maybe the build just definitely needs to have a rethink. It was a lot of fun. It was nice to pick up Dark Magician and actually play them properly again. I think their period, like the period with Ding was they couldn't cope with Ding, and now they can't really cope with a Spiral board. They might get away with an invoked board as well, so it really depends on what you face. But it's a lot of fun, very, very good to get Dark Magicians out again. So I thought I would profile it, give you a rundown and kind of the things I would change, and then I can give you an update as of the next time I play this. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time guys, as always, happy dueling.